Good morning, everybody. So, I hope you had a good midterm week. So, I will just wait till people join. So, first thing, so how was the midterm? Anybody?
Good, sir.
So, did you find that you had less time, or was the time okay?
Okay, sir.
How was the programming? Did you find that programming assignment useful? How was it? What is your feedback on that?
All good, sir.
So I will start correcting these things. There is a lot of pile up of these things. So me and my TA. So yeah, I will let you know as soon as I can finish. I will let you know the marks, and I will also make a key. I will
Some
share
of
that.
the questions, since some of the questions they have like a 4 5 line answer, yet there was like 15 marks or something allotted to them. So, I mean, as long as the answer is correct and the method is correct, will we be getting 15 marks? Because I don't think it was possible to stretch out to 15
No, no,
marks.
no. See, it is mathematics, right? It is not like what social studies. The longer you write, your marks are not directly proportional to that.
Yes.
So we will not use such bizarre techniques. So what we will do is, if your answer is correct, even if it's a single line, you will get full marks.
Thank you, sir.
I cannot, I hope everybody does this for math at least, because, it's correct or wrong. So there is no halfway. Any case. Any other questions? Okay, so there is a good amount of people who have shown up, which is good because it's festival after midterm. People may have things to do and they want to relax or things like that. But anyway, since you're taking it from home, I would assume that it's not too bad. So if there are nothing further related to midterm, then we can begin today's class. So I will just wait for about 2-3 minutes to see if there are any more comments or questions.
So for the programming question, the one where we had to prove that the geometric distribution is memoryless, that question.
Mm-hmm.
So the PDF and CDF, that was like, what else should we have done?
So PDF and CDF is enough,
Okay, sir.
because actually that itself is like a empirical way of establishing things. You just look at the PDF and CDF.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's good. So okay, so anybody has any other questions, or we can just start, I suppose. All right. So yeah, as I was telling, I will share the answers to the midterm questions sometime, and then you can go through it, and then we will get started on the corrections. So anyway, so that's good. So welcome back after midterm. So let's begin today's class. So let me just share my screen. Okay, so
Sir, just one last question.
yeah,
So for the midterm, the theory questions, we were had like 6 or 7 questions, and you had to do 4 of them. So
yeah.
if we have done 5 questions, will the best 4 be selected?
I mean, unless you have made like completely bizarre answers, you understand, right? I mean, you should. Okay. Anyway, let me just. Okay, I just want to be generous here, so I will try to give the best, but I just don't want you to make too many mistakes in the questions that you have attempted. So
Yes.
anyway, so most likely you will get best 4. So
Yes.
in the future, don't do that, because it means that we'll have more work to do, which is avoidable, I suppose.
Because in the programming question, I wasn't sure about the PDF CDF thing, so I did both of those programming questions. So I just wanted to know that.
Yeah, that should be fine. Okay, all right. So let's start today's class. So uh, what we were doing earlier is that we were discussing. So basically, let's just do a long, I mean, not long, but long back what we had started. Let's try to put everything that we have been learning in context. So we began the whole study of probability by the probability axioms, right? This was where we started. And then what we looked at is the outcome space. Okay, it has 3 components. The probability axioms gives rise to what is called as a probability space, right? And probability space consists of the outcome space, the events, and then probability, right? This is what we began studying. And then we denoted this by omega, E, and P. And then we saw several axioms here, right? So this is, why did we study this? Because this is a mathematical model. Okay, mathematical model to think about uncertainty. So this is what it was. And this is where we began. Then what we did after this is that we went to random variables. Okay, so the most important idea in the random variable is that its definition. Okay, so X is a random variable which takes from omega to R. Okay, so this is the omega is the same omega as in the outcome space. And then what we did was in the random variable, we saw 2 types. One was the discrete random variable, and the other one was continuous random variable. Okay, so discrete random variables, the most important idea here is the idea of probability mass function. Okay, so what was the definition of that? So what we said was Px of x is a small value in R. This is equal to probability that the random variable x is equal to the small x. So that was one thing. And in the continuous random variable, what is the most important concept that we saw was probability density function. And probability density function, the way to understand that is, if you take the density function at a value x and multiply it along with a small neighborhood, small delta, this can be thought of as probability that the random variable x lies between x minus delta and x plus delta. Okay, so that is the understanding of the density function. Then after this, we saw a unifying thing which is called as the cumulative distribution function, CDF. So this is equal to probability that x is less than or equal to x. So these things you have read. I'm just repeating this so that you get an idea of how things have been going. And in case of continuous random variable, we get a further property that the density function you can get by taking the derivative of the cumulative distribution function. So this is what we studied so far. So why did we go to density function? The random variable is because we can then so it removes, you can, so why random variables? This also we discussed in the very beginning. So this allows us to focus on the measurement of interest. That is one. The second thing is it de-emphasizes, right? it de-emphasizes omega. You don't have to worry about omega anymore. Okay, all you do is you look at either the probability mass function or you look at the probability density function. Okay, and the third thing is it helps you see patterns. Okay, because as you have been studying, in case of discrete random variables, we saw several important patterns which appear again and again. Those were Bernoulli random variables, the binomial. Then we saw Poisson, geometric. So these are the things that will happen, and you will see these distributions appear multiple number of times. That is why we look at the random variables and not look at the probability space. So this was in the case of discrete. In continuous, we just began. Yeah.
Sir, in the case of continuous, where you have defined probability density function.
Yeah.
So that should be from x to x plus delta, right? Not x minus delta.
So we can just do delta by 2. That should fix it. So, okay. So let me just repeat. That's a good question that you ask. So let me draw the density function again. So you have something like, let's say this is the density function and this is your x. Okay. Now, if I choose a small area here around which contains x, okay, and whose width is delta, okay, the shaded region, okay, is probability that x belongs to that shaded region, okay, is equal to that area of that shaded region, right? That is the meaning of density. Remember, the density is like, if you want to find that x belongs to some area B, some region B, what we do is we integrate the density function on B. That's what we did. And now, similarly, we should find the area here. And now that actually, if you see, since this is a very small interval, okay, this interval is very small, we can assume that this is the entire region is looking like a rectangle whose height is fx of x. Okay, height is fx of x. This is fx of x. The width is delta. Therefore, that area is fx of x into delta. Now, how you choose this interval which contains x? You are free to choose. Okay, for example, all of this will work even for examples like x belongs to x plus delta. This will work because the width is still delta. And then x will also work for something like this, minus delta by 2 to delta by 2. Okay. And then, of course, you can even take things like x minus delta by 3. Okay. And then x plus 2 delta by 3. That also will work. So did I answer your question?
Yes, sir. Good.
Okay. So now, in case of continuous random variable, we saw examples of uniform. We saw examples of, we saw the example of normal. And then there are a few more things that we have to learn over here. Okay, so that is what we will do next. So, yeah, so this is what we have been doing so far. And I think, I hope that you are understanding that these topics that we are studying, it falls in a logical sequence. So we are not just doing one after the other. It's because these patterns appear many times. So right now, as of today, you may not be able to use many of these things. But if you do the project, for example, you would get to know what is naive space. And I think I will also announce the next project, which is going to be on something called as Kalman filters. Okay, so I hope it will not be too complicated and I will do this. But anyway, so this Kalman filter, for example, this is used very extensively in things like what is that, self-driving drones, and then guided missiles and things like that, satellites. Okay, so this is very useful. So this is this I will be hopefully giving this as the second project. So even though you may not see the applications of these random variables immediately right away, but they have applications. So in this course, you will learn these topics with few applications, but going down the line, I hope you will appreciate it even more. So my idea of going through this is, I hope you learn these basic things well enough, and then later you will see more and more applications. Anyway, so these are all the things that we have been studying, and so now we will start the next important random variable, which is called as exponential. So this is again a continuous random variable. Okay. So now, so the support, like the range x of omega, this is going to be the interval 0 to infinity. Okay. So basically it's a positive random variable. Okay. And it is defined, it is characterized by a parameter lambda. So lambda is a parameter for this distribution. Okay, so this is a Greek letter called as lambda. You have seen this even in the case of Poisson. Okay, and the idea is that this is actually related to Poisson in some way. You will see this later when we do. But so this is going to be the same lambda that was there in Poisson. So in Poisson, it was called as the rate parameter. This is also the rate parameter even in exponential. Okay. So right now, you don't have to worry about what that means immediately, but you will get to see this more and more as we learn what is called as Poisson process. Okay, so that we will do in future videos. So, but right now, let's just look at this as a simple random variable, and let's look at the density function. So the density function fx of x is going to be lambda e power minus lambda x. Okay, so lambda is a parameter. Again, this is greater than 0, same as it was in Poisson. Okay, and let's just quickly check some important properties. So if I integrate 0 to infinity fx of x, okay, dx, what is that? So 0 to infinity lambda e power minus lambda x dx. And if I integrate this one, it will be lambda into e power minus lambda x by minus lambda between 0 and infinity. Okay, so this if you do it, so e power 0, so it will be so what's the limit of e power minus lambda x as x tends to infinity? That is the upper limit evaluation, and then plus the lower limit is e power minus lambda 0 is what is the lower limit, right? So now if you just evaluate this will actually turn out to be this will turn out to be 0. Okay, and this is 1, so it integrates to 1. So this is a proper density. Okay, so that was first step. Okay, so next let's do one more thing. So this was the check. So next we will try to look at what is the expectation of this random variable. Okay, so this is going to be x lambda e power minus lambda x dx. Okay, 0 to infinity. So this is going to be lambda 0 to infinity x e power minus lambda x dx. Okay, so can somebody tell me how do we do this integral?
Integration by parts.
Yeah, so we have to do integration by parts. So let's take some steps to remember how this is supposed to be done. So I may not be doing it in the best way, but let's just recall what was the product rule of differentiation. Okay, so this is going to be u dv plus v du. Okay, So now if we integrate everywhere, so what you will get is, so let's say this is the integration that you wanted to do. Okay, so I will rearrange this as u dv is equal to d uv minus v du. Okay, and we get here the integration by parts rule. Okay, so this is what it was. So now what we need to do is we need to identify which one we will be integrating and which component we will be doing differentiation. So if we differentiate x, no, then it is good because it will become 1. So that is why we will use, we will choose this as u, and this we will choose as dv. Okay, so here is the formula. So this is u, this is dv. So now lambda, so let's understand what we are supposed to do. So integral u dv, that is what we have here. So now we should be taking the integration of the second component. The first component comes as it is, which is x. And if I integrate this e power minus lambda x, it is going to be e power minus lambda x by minus lambda. So that is the first part. So we have evaluated this. So this is now in limits is between 0 to infinity. That was the first part. Now the second part is an integration. So v is what you did over here, that will appear. So that will be e power minus lambda x. I'm writing the steps once again in case someone has forgotten how to do this. So this is just to just for those students. For those who are comfortable with it, you can just relax a little bit. So now this is the v part, and du is u is x, du is 1. So when we take the derivative of x, you get 1, and then dx. So this is what we are supposed to do. This is the second part. All right. So when we evaluate this, what do we get? So so this will be minus. So when we put the upper limit, this will be okay. So here is something that you have to be again careful. Okay, so we are supposed to be doing limit x e power lambda x tends to infinity. That is the first part. Okay, plus the other part is easy. So it's going to be minus 0. The other part is easy. This is where we have to be careful. The first part. Okay, when we put in infinity here. Okay, minus the second part. What do we happen? So this lambda will come out as plus. I think I have done some mistake, is it? So this lambda x appears.
A lambda before the second integral.
There is a lambda here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, because this is coming from here, we have taken it out. Okay, yeah, no problem. This is correct. So now, yeah, so now we have 0 to infinity. Thank you for whoever it was. Yeah, so this is okay. So now this one, how do we evaluate this? How do you evaluate this limit? It has a infinity by infinity form. So how do we evaluate this? Yes, anybody?
L'Hopital.
Yeah, L'Hopital. So what is L'Hopital saying? So if you have infinity by infinity form, when you are taking limits, what you do is, so if you wanted to do limit f of x by g of x and x tends to some value, if that is having infinity by infinity form, what you say is by L'Hopital rule, what you have is this is going to be f dash x by g dash x. So that is what we have to do. All right. So this is going to be limit. So taking the derivative of the numerator, it's 1. Derivative of the denominator is lambda e power lambda x. So 1 over lambda e power lambda x. And then here the second part, what we know is, if you remember, right? So when we integrate this, okay, when we integrate this one, we get 1. Okay, so lambda should be there. There is no lambda here. There is a lambda missing. So what we do is we bring that lambda back. multiplying and dividing by lambda. Okay, and so let's just continue here. So this will be now the evaluation is easy. So when you apply here, this will be 0. This will be 1 over lambda. That's it, because this is going to be simplified to 1, because that is nothing but the integration of the density over the entire interval. So we have now expectation of x. So why did I spend some time doing this? Is because this integration by part is used quite often in this particular segment of the course. Okay, so some of you who have been doing this quite often would be quite comfortable with it, but then for some people it will be quite new. So it's just a quick recap. Okay, so that's the whole idea of this. But so this is one thing. So now as an exercise, you can try out how to do e of x square. So e of x square, I won't do this, but this is going to be x square lambda e power minus lambda x dx. Okay, so now again you have to take derivative of this and you have to integrate this. So that way when you do, you will get e of x square, and then you can do what's the variance. Then you can do what's variance of x. All those things you can try out later. Okay. Anyway, so that's good. So now, now we will come and show what's called as the memoryless property of random, this exponential random variable. So that's the next topic. Let me make some space. So far, does anyone have any questions? Is everything okay with this, whatever we have discussed so far? Okay. So now, since we had done some work earlier on the memorylessness, so this will be a little bit easier to do, I hope. So remember, we had talked about memoryless property. So this we had talked in the context of geometric random variable. Okay. What we said is that the distribution of this entity. Okay. So when you take this, this is also going to be geometric. This is what was memoryless. Okay. So let's just spend some time again recollecting what this means. Okay. So first thing first, so x is geometric. That was the first step, right? X was geometric random variable, and with parameter p. That's how we started. And what we said is, suppose you are looking at a run of this geometric random variable. Okay, so the example that I gave for those of you who watched my video was that you look at a few people from geometric random variables. So imagine as though that lifetime is geometric. Okay, so what that means is, if I look at human population, okay, if the lifetime of human population was geometric, what it means is a newborn infant and a 100-year-old man, okay, both these people will the expected lifetime of both these people will be the same. Then the distribution as to when they are going to till how long they are going to live and all those things is going to be same. So what that means is, you look at the, so 100 years is over, but what you do is, instead of looking at the fact that he has already lived 100 years old, you look at how much more he is going to live. So X is the number of years that person is going to live. You look at how much more beyond 100 years he is going to live, given that he has already lived 100 years. Okay, so this is what that is. This one is going to be having the same characteristic as a newborn infant. Okay, so this is what is geometric random variable. Sorry, this is what is a memoryless property. Okay, so this we saw in the context of geometric random variable. All right, so since this is kind of a difficult topic, I would like to just invite few questions from the students, if there are any questions here, because I may be telling things fast or some points may not be clear. So is this idea clear, what it means to say something is memoryless? Anybody has any questions here? So this is an important property. So if you have any things, even if it is like you still mostly okay, still if you feel like there is something that might be explained better, you just let me know. Everything clear? All right. So now this was in the context when the x was a geometric random variable. Now let's look at x is exponential. And the parameter is lambda, right? Remember? So now what we are going to show is that x minus k given x greater than k is also exponential. So this is what we are going to show. All right. Okay. So before we begin here, so let's recall how what was the steps we did for geometric, and then we will do the same steps for exponential. Okay, so let me divide the screen into two parts and let's do a complete recap of geometric. Okay, somebody tell me how do we begin to show that x minus k given x greater than k is geometric? Somebody?
We can use the conditional probability.
Very good. So what we need to do is we need to look at the conditional probability. So first thing for doing the conditional probability is we have to evaluate what's the probability that x is greater than k. Is that fine? So how do we do, how do we compute this? What is the probability that x is greater than k? This is equal to 1 minus probability that x is less than or equal to k. Okay. So we have to look at this entity. So let's do that. So fx of k. Okay, so this is going to be sum over px of x. Okay, small x going from geometric random variable starts from 1, right? 1 to capital K. All right, so let's do this. What is this going to be? So the first time it fails, this is going to be p. So this is 1 minus p into p and so on till 1 minus p to the power of k minus 1 into p. So how do we simplify this? This looks kind of complicated. What has happened? Can someone help me out?
So we can take a specific like x minus k, some number for k.
Yeah, I think that is better. And then we will use induction to get the general formula. Okay, so that's a good idea. So let's try fx of 2. So that's going to be p and then 1 minus p into p. Okay, so when we do this, what do we get? So this will be p plus p minus p squared. So what does that give us? 2p minus p squared. Okay, so let's put that back in px greater than 2. This will be 1 minus 2p plus p squared, right? That's what. So if you remember, this is what we are supposed to do. Okay, so this actually turns out to be equal to 1 minus p whole squared. Okay, so now the general formula for this is x greater than k. This is going to be 1 minus p to the power of k. So this is what was the first step for geometric. So let's take analogous step for exponential. Okay, so probability that x is greater than k is equal to 1 minus probability that x is less than or equal to k. Okay, so now we have to do what is this. Okay, so this is going to be 0 to k lambda e power minus lambda x dx. Okay, so this is going to be lambda e power minus lambda x by minus lambda between 0 to k. All right, so this actually turns out to be e power minus kx. I hope people can do this simplification. So now coming to this formula, p of x greater than k is therefore 1 minus e power minus kx. All right. So this was, now we have come to the same stage as for geometric as well as for, so this step is done. So this was step number 1. For step number 2, what we need to do is we have to do x minus k. So we have to actually, sorry. So we have to write f of x minus k given x greater than k for a number, let us say, I don't know, a. So this is what we are supposed to do next. And what we did was, this is small f. No, p. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Sir, for the left part, so we are putting the limit in x, not in lambda. So it would be e to the power minus lambda k, right?
That's true. I'm so sorry. Yeah, right. Thank you. I mean, it's really, really difficult to teach in this online thing, and after a break, I become a little rusty. So please, if there are any mistakes like this, point out. Okay. Thank you so much. All right. So now coming here. So this was what we did, right? We took the probability mass function for x minus k given x greater than k for a particular value a. Okay, so what was this? The definition of this is probability that x minus k is greater than a, okay, comma x is greater than k divided by probability that x is greater than k. I hope people are remembering this, what we had done. Okay, and then what we did next is, so in order to evaluate this, we made the observation that if a is less than k, then this whole numerator will be 0. You cannot have simultaneously, if this number is like, I mean, so k plus a is, if it is less than 0, it is going to be, so wait, what am I saying? So x is greater than k and x minus k is greater than a. So can somebody help me out? What am I supposed to say here?
So we can write that x is greater than k plus a.
Okay, x should be greater than k plus a. Yes. So yeah. So x is great. Yeah. So we can write that. But how does that help us?
So the intersection of x greater than k plus a and x greater than k would be x greater than k plus a itself.
Provided a is positive.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's good. So what that means is, yeah. So for a less than or equal to 0, no, equal to, less than or equal to 0. Something is wrong, right? So anyway, this is going to be 0. Otherwise it's going to be, we have to actually evaluate this. The numerator of, so when a is greater than k, the intersection of x greater than k and this numerator is going to remain the same. Okay. So that is going to be 1 minus p to the power of,
Sir, we have been given the condition that x is already greater than k. So x
okay.
k would be
No, one mistake, guys. Before we go there, this is not greater than, this is equal to. Okay. Because this is the density function, the definition of probability mass function is px of small a is probability that x is equal to a. Okay, so this is equal to a, x is equal to k plus a. Yeah, go ahead, whoever was saying something.
The a would be a positive number.
A would be a positive number. Yeah, a would be a positive number. That's correct. So a less than or equal to 0 is 0. Is that fine? So far, whatever I've written. See, if a is equal to 0, we will have, what is the intersection of x is equal to, let me write over here with a different color so as to emphasize this. If a equal to 0, okay, we will have probability that x is equal to k, comma x is greater than k. So this is going to be 0. Okay. So that is why the first term is 0. Is that okay? Everybody? Somebody say something in chat at least. Okay. What's the confusion? Is this point clear? Why
Yes, sir.
this is, yeah, okay, good. So now for A, which is strictly positive, like A equal to 1, 2, 3, and so on, the numerator will be K plus A minus 1 divided by this, divided by, so sorry, I should use this color, right? So x greater than K, we saw that this was 1 minus P to the power of K. Okay. So now if you do the simplification, what you will get is this is going to be 0 for A less than or equal to 0. And for other things, it will be 1 minus P to the power of A minus 1 times P. Okay, for A equal to 1, 2, so on. But that is nothing but geometric.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So does everybody follow this argument? This we have done, but I was just doing a recap so that, when we do for exponential, we can do the steps one by one and directly translate this. Is this clear, everybody?
So the numerator should be 1 minus p raised to x minus 1.
Where? Here? Which numerator here? This one?
Yeah, the last one.
No, but I did it for A, for a value A, not X. If I taken at X, it is of course X minus 1. That's correct. But I took some other value A. Is that fine?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have to do something analogous for our Poisson, for our exponential. So let's do that now. Okay. So here we have to be a little bit careful because when we did this, yeah, go ahead.
Sir, in the exponential where you have calculated CDF from 0 to K integration you have done.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, that should be, that should be 1 minus e to the power minus lambda K.
Okay, so did I do mistake? Yeah, I think I did mistake. So this you are saying e power, yeah, so this is this. Okay, sorry. So now, yeah, you're right. So
Px greater than K should be e to the power minus lambda K.
yeah, everybody just note this correction. Thanks for actually doing that. So good. Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is good. Anyway, so no harm, no nothing, because we are still on track. So now when we try to do the step number 2, right, we cannot directly use the density, okay, because density is not like probability, but what we will use is capital F. So what we will do is we will try to do capital F of x minus k given x greater than k of A. So what does that mean? What's the definition of this? Okay, so this is probability that x minus k is greater than A given x is less than or equal to A, right? What am I doing? I've become really rusty. Okay, so this is what it is. Is this step clear for everybody? So this is the definition of CDF. So I've just written the definition of CDF. Okay, so this is cumulative distribution function. Okay, I cannot work with the density function directly because density function does not have an interpretation like probability. That's why I'm going to CDF. Is that all right, everybody? Okay, so now let's try to do this same way that we have been doing before. So this will be probability that x minus k is less than or equal to A intersection x greater than k divided by probability that x is greater than k. So let's try to evaluate this. So this is going to be probability that x is less than A plus k, okay, and x is greater than k, okay, then probability that x is greater than k. I'm just writing the definition. Now, how can this, if a is equal to 0, what you have is probability of x is less than or equal to k and comma x is greater than k. So that cannot happen. Okay, so numerator is going to be 0 for a less than or equal to 0. Is that all right? Otherwise, what you are looking at is basically probability that x is greater than k. Is that okay? That is what is the numerator. I'm sorry, this has to be this. See, I'm just writing, so for a less than or equal to 0, if you put a equal to 0 here, what I will get is p of x less than or equal to k, comma x greater than k. So that cannot simultaneously happen. If a is greater than 0, then it is okay. Then we are looking at this interval. Is everybody okay with this? Yes? No? So I will
Yes.
okay, I will pause and I'll just wait for people to say something. Anybody has any questions here? So only people who have said yes is Mahendra and Shashwat. Anybody else has any quick comments? Do you follow this? Can I have a quick poll in the chat? So people just let me know if this part is clear. Very good. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. So coming back here. So now, okay, so we still need some space. Okay. Okay, so now we have to be little clever about this. So let's try to evaluate the numerator. So this numerator is actually equal to 0. This is probability that x is less than or equal to a plus k minus probability that x is less than or equal to k. Is this okay to people? See, I have to only have, so basically you have this axis here. This is your a plus k. This is your k, okay? And I want to find what's the probability that x falls in this region. Okay, so what I do is I will first look at what's the chance that we include all of these people, all these things. That is the probability that x is less than a plus k. And then we subtract away the probability that all these things come. So that way we can get what's the probability in this interval. Okay, I hope this is clear. Please pause if, let me know if things are not okay. All right. All right. So now we are almost done. So this is now going to be CDF of f of x of a plus k minus f of x of k divided by probability that x is greater than k. Now somebody pointed out that the CDF is going to be 1 minus e power minus lambda k, right? So let's plug in that. So this is for a less than or equal to 0, a otherwise, or a greater than 0. Okay, so this is going to be 0. This will be 1 minus e power minus lambda a plus k minus 1 plus e power minus lambda k divided by e power minus lambda k. So continuing, just doing the simplifications further, you will get e power minus lambda a plus k minus here plus e power minus lambda k divided by e power minus lambda k. Okay, I shouldn't have done this. It's a useless step. So let's not do this. It's a waste of space. Okay, this you can see easily. What I will do is instead I will take e power lambda k common between this and this. So what I will have is e power minus lambda k into 1 minus e power minus lambda a, okay, divided by e power minus lambda k. This is a less than equal to 0, a greater than 0. Now this and this we can just cancel out. So what we got at the end of all this complicated exercise is that fx minus k of x greater than k for a is going to be 1 minus e power minus lambda a. Okay, now in order to get the density, we take the derivative of this. Okay, so let's do that. Actually, this itself is enough. Why? Because this CDF is the CDF of exponential. If you see, the CDF of exponential is 1 minus e power minus lambda k. Okay, so this step itself is enough, but let's take the derivative anyway. And once we take the derivative with respect to a, so what we do is we take the so now we will take the derivative with respect to a on both sides. Okay, so when you take the derivative with respect to a, what you will get is fx minus k x greater than k of a. The derivative of a CDF is going to be the density. Okay, is going to be it's going to be e power minus lambda a. The first part is 0 minus d by dA of this, which is going to be minus lambda e power minus lambda a. This minus and that minus will become press. You will get lambda e power minus lambda a, which is nothing but exponential. Okay, so this is like a whole lot of algebra, but I hope this is clear. Does everybody follow this discussion? So there is going to be a connection between exponential and Poisson. Okay, then these things will make more sense. All right, so we will see that connection later when we see the Poisson process chapter. But I just did a whole bunch of algebra just to show you that there is a memoryless property that arrives even in exponential distribution. Okay, so let's just do a quick recap of what we did today, and then we will stop. So basically, what we have been doing so far is we have been looking at all these probability spaces. We have been looking at random variables, and then we have been looking at examples of random variables. Okay, that's what we started the class with. We just did a quick recap of things. Then what we did thereon was we introduced what was called as exponential random variable. So this is another random variable which has a memoryless property. But before that, we just gave the definition of the density. The density of the exponential random variable is lambda e power minus lambda x with lambda greater than 0. This is the same parameter that comes even in Poisson. Okay, so basically Poisson and exponential are actually two different views of the same underlying random phenomena. You are going to see that later. All right, so in the Poisson process chapter. And then what we did is we spent some time recapping the integration by parts idea, and that's what we did next. So that was where we did the second part, and then finally we did the memoryless property. So here basically what you have to understand is, if you look at this entity here, so let me take a color so that so if you look at this entity over here, so just focus on it. So what we are saying is that there is a person who has lived at least k number of years. And what is the thing that we are interested in is the remainder, how many more years that person is going to live. Okay, so this is like a person has lived 100 years and we are asking what is the remaining number of years left. Okay, if that x is a memoryless property, then what we are saying is the distribution of a newborn infant and versus the remainder life of a 100-year-old. okay, given that he has already lived 100-year-old, is going to behave exactly same way. Okay. And then what we did was we did basically side-by-side comparison of the memorylessness property, what we studied for geometric we saw, and then how we do similar things for exponential we saw. Okay. See, in the case of geometric random variable, the idea that it is memoryless was very clear, right? Because see, if the geometric random variable is coming because of a series of coin tosses. Okay, even though you may have got no successes in k coin tosses, the remainder is as though it is you are starting again. Okay, so that is why geometric random variable had the memorylessness property, because the coin tosses, right? If you use that example of the IPL coin, just because the IPL coin did not give an head for first k matches, it doesn't mean that for the rest k minus rest matches, that is x minus k, whatever remainder number of matches that you're going to use that coin, that is going to be influenced by the fact that it has not given a head till k, right? Because each time when you do a toss, it's a completely independent thing. It doesn't depend upon the previous history, right? So that is why this was quite obvious for geometric, but we could formally show by this sequence of steps that was done. So now what we did was we began by the definition of the probability mass function. Okay, the probability mass function, when we write the definition and when we simplify, we actually get the same thing. And for the analogous case of exponential, instead of using the density function, we use the CDF. And then finally, as a last step, we took the derivative, and then that derivative will give the required density, and that actually was exponential. So that is how we proceeded to show this important result for exponential. Okay, so yeah, so I think this is a good time to stop, because it's a new concept. So, and I guess we are a bit rusty after the midterm break. Anyway, so if there are no questions, then we can stop now. So please let me know if you have any questions. Okay, so there are, I guess there are no questions. So we will stop now. So have a good lunch, and we will see you all tomorrow. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.